Hey, so I'm here to show you my Shockwave Totem Fizz Impale character that I've made for the Crucible League. This is the only character I've played this league. Level 100. I played this last league as well during the Sanctum League. Fell in love with it after watching a video that Mathel made. It's not the same. He did cold conversion, which you can do, which is the normal. I'm doing pure Fizz Impale. So I'll just show you a boss, just to show you the sort of damage that we're looking at. Then I'll show you a map, and then I'll go through the build and how you can best recreate it. I've really enjoyed playing this build. It was a very easy league starter, and it's just getting better and better with money. So there you can see is the kind of damage that we're looking at. We'll do a map. I won't do the whole map, it's just to give you an idea of how fast we're going and what it's going to look like for 95% of your gameplay when you're not doing boss fights. So it's very, very straightforward. You put your totems down wherever you like and they just clear up the entire screen for you, which is very nice of them. I'm doing Delve at the moment. I'm currently about Delve 600, mainly doing alls. I think there's one on my YouTube channel, one at about 550, who was very, very cancerous, but we did manage to get him down. So as you can see, we're really moving. We don't hang about, and it's very satisfying to. It's a very satisfying play style, and you don't sacrifice damage in terms of single target or clear speed with this build. So yeah, it's super enjoyable. I'd say it's probably S tier damage and A tier clear speed. You know, wanders and stuff are gonna probably do a lot better, but this is what we're doing. We're not using anything ridiculous. There's no headhunter, no mage blood, nothing where you're going to be spending mirrors. Like I say, I made this on a budget, and you can do the same, or you can invest what I have, which is now probably about 50 divines. But the most of the money I've spent has been after I got it to 100, just for demo purposes. Just to make the numbers go up more and more. So yeah, Shockwave Totem. We'll go through the gear. So I am using a Diala's Malefiction. So I'll start with budget, and then best case scenario. So if you're the big boy, then this is what you're going to look for. So this is a big boy item. It's probably one of the few that I have. If you're on a budget, just get a 6-link. Regular sort of investment, get a Diala's that's got no corruption. You want 4 red, 2 green, which I'll explain why. And then if you're a big boy, then get a +2 or even a +3, which is best in slot. As far as I'm aware, none of those exist in this league. This ran me about 10 divines. I sold my regular one for 5. So the person who sold me this has probably undersold it to me. By quite a bit, I would say. Anyway, so we're going Shockwave Totem, anomalous version for cast speed. Cast speed feels super good for this build. So yeah, we're doing that. Divergent multiple totems, awakened brutality, increased crit in power level 4, and increased crit damage. This is a crit build, and not only is it a crit build, it is 100% crit build, because we are doing this with Impale. So the way Impale works with this item is critical strikes with spells inflict Impale. Now normally you can't inflict Impale with spells, it's physical attacks only. When this item was made, that changed the game for it. So the way Impale works is if you inflict a attack or spell that inflicts Impale, it stores physical damage onto a mob, and then when it reaches a certain number, which is either 5 or 7, depending on items, the damage will then take effect, and then it starts all over again. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom. However, if you inflict a spell that does not inflict impale, all the stacks drop off. So it's super important that you get close to 100% as you can. It's very easy to get 100% spell crit chance, even with a 5% crit chance gem. I'll show you how to do that, but it is very straightforward. And then I'll go through the rest of the gear. We'll go through the POB, and then we are done. We've got 2% base crit here, and then we're using a Crucible mod. This is the only mod you need for the weapon. 1.25 base crit. You can get 1.5, these do exist. I've got it on a terrible base because elemental damage does nothing for me. The best base would be a Profane Wand, which is cast speed. Cast speed feels so nice for this build, but it's not mandatory. But it will feel super good for the build. The only thing that's mandatory is 100% or as close as you can crit. The weapon I just made with spell damage essences. The only thing I was looking for was increased crit. If you're the big boy, then you want to replace the mana roll with +1 all skill gems, and you probably want a tier 1 cast speed roll, and then double damage. The helmet is the Devouring Diadem. This drops off the Betrayal fight. You need the enchant. It's very important to be able to fit all your auras in. I think we're using 8 auras or 9 total, and we get more damage the more auras that we use because of a point on the tree. So in the helmet we are using Zealotry, Pride, Enlighten level 3. You can get away with this, so we're not using ridiculous amounts of Enlightens and a Divergent Mosquito Bots. I've used the regular one. I only just bought this today. It literally gives 1%. It was a waste of money. So just use the regular one or the increased AoE one, which I think is anomalous. Yeah, so if you're on a budget, you need to use a Hubris and take Eldritch Battery on the tree. If you're the big boy, maybe get +1 power charge or something like that. I don't really know how you could improve this. The shield is probably the most expensive item that I own, and I crafted it by pure luck, unfortunately. So the mod I was looking for was this, so that I could use Righteous Fire all of the time. I'll demonstrate that for you. So with my totems up, my life just doesn't go down. So I was looking for this to boost my fire res. Then I hit it with Contempt Essences until I hit either +1 totem or +1 skill gems, and then you re-roll Fizz to get the other one, and then you'll keep the prefixes, lock the suffixes, and then go for block or crit or cast speed or spell suppression, however you decide to build the character. I hit block, and then when I was very tilted, I slammed it and hit the increased RMR. You really don't need the increased RMR, but the rest is pretty easy to get, and it won't cost you a great deal of money. And then you need the double damage roll on it. The amulet, I bought this at level 100, so I was using this beforehand. So this is what I was using from 60 to 99. It does you absolutely fine. The only thing you need is +1 and then some cast speed. The frenzy charges are not important, it just gives you a little bit more damage, but get +1 in cast speed and some life and you'll be absolutely fine. Here's the shield I was using before I got the shield above. As you can see, it's absolutely nothing special at all, and that lasted me perfectly fine. We will go to the ring. The only thing you need here is cast speed and crit multi. Get some life if you can. The cast speed is obviously super beneficial to quality of life. The crit multi is obviously because we're 100% crit, so all the multi possible, and then a frenzy charge. Astral Projector is how this build essentially works. So Nova spells cast at the targeted location instead of around you. So you put the totems down, and the totem will just shoot anything on the screen wherever it is, and it will just destroy it. All 6 of them. The gloves I've already mentioned. You do not need the curse. This is just, again, it's just me flexing. It's getting towards the end of the league and I wanted to spend some of my money. So you can just use the regular version, which are here. Try to get the biggest increased effect of impales that you can, and then use Assassin's Mark as your curse. There's no budget version for this because this is a mandatory item. So if you're doing this as a starter, start it as cold conversion with Hrimsorrow and then transition into this when you have the money. The belt, you can make this for about 10c. All you need is the max life regen roll with some catalysts and a life roll, and then fill out your resists. You will struggle for resists because I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm losing 4 uniques, so I'm struggling for resists, and I don't get a lot on the tree either. So you're gonna need resists, and you've got to plug holes wherever possible. The boots are one of the few rare items that we use. So the lab enchant is mandatory. This is always on, because you never crit. Totems do not count as you. So this is always on, super important. And then you want to try and get an ES base if you can, as high item level as you can, so you can get the 35 move speed roll. Then hit it with avoid elemental ailment essences, and make sure you get the implicit Eater of Worlds and the Searing Etcharch +1 max fire res. You can get +2 and you can get more avoidance, but I just haven't done it. This will make you 100% ailment immune, so I've got 52 from the boots, I get 30 from the ring, and I get 20 from the tree here, so I am 102% avoid ailments, so I don't die to any of that nonsense. That is all the gear. The gems, so I'm using Steel Skin, Vitality, Divergent RF. You can use Vile RF, that's a nice damage boost. I was using it, but I prefer to use this because this is always on, so the extra 20% increased is always on, and I prefer that rather than having to press another button. You're quite socket starved on this build. You really are struggling for sockets, and not only that, for free buttons to press. So if I had Val RF, it's got to go somewhere as well, and focus and things like that people do use. That's why I don't use focus either, plus because I'm quite lazy. The amulet I've already gone through, but you need dexterity, and I'll explain why. The shield, Purity of Fire, which you need as high level as possible, so you can get maximum fire res. I currently have 85. You can get 87 just with Purity of Fire, and then you can also get +3 maximum resistances on a shield as a roll, so that will also help out just to make sure that you don't die from RF. Another Enlighten, unfortunately, and Tempest Shield, which makes up the majority of our defense. In the boots, I am using a Divine Blessing setup, so this is an aura that is temporary, that you spend mana for. So if I press E now, I get a 19-second haste buff that costs me 533 mana, which is actually Energy Shield because I am Eldritch Battery. The one thing that makes this run is Divergent Inspiration. You can use the regular one. The Divergent one helps out a lot because it gives an extra reduced mana cost. So if I just take this out and show you, it now costs 930 mana, which obviously you can see is a huge difference. So that really helps. Increased duration just makes the buff last a little bit longer, so you don't have to continually keep pressing it, because it's very irritating, especially if you're not used to the rotation or a rotation build where you're pressing more than one button. The flasks, I'm using 2 life flasks because the only form of defense I have is glancing blows, which makes me capped on both, but I still take 65% damage. So I'm using 2 life flasks because I've been bossing a lot, and because when my health does go down, it tends to go down in stages rather than in huge big chunks, which is preferred to if you were running a full block build. You will block a lot of the damage, and then all of a sudden you will get one shot when you don't block. So this is better, and it's more consistent, and it costs less points on the tree. Speaking of the tree, we'll go into it now. I'll show you the tree. This is obviously level 100, so I'll show you what to do if you are not level 100. But we come out of here, we take all of the fizz damage and the minion damage, which I'll explain soon. Come down, get this wheel here. This is very important. This also reduces the mana cost of Shockwave Totem and of the Divine Blessing aura. So this is very important. Make sure you get this. Get the block node here and the avoid ailments, and that will make you essentially block capped with Tempest Shield. Get this, go around, and then we're going to grab Spiritual Aid, which gives a lot of damage. We'll go up here, we'll get Aura Effect, Crit. We're using 1 cluster, which is Force, Multiplier, Ironbreaker, and Master of the Fundamentals. You don't need all 3. If you're just starting out, just get these 2, which is Force Multiplier and Ironbreaker. Force Multiplier is the important one for double damage. We're going into a medium cluster, medium totem cluster. This is very standard, very meta. Ancestral Reach and Sleepless Sentries. So we have Onslaught all of the time because we're always summoning a totem. And then totem damage and totem placement speed makes the build feel smooth. And then we're going into a medium crit cluster. Your crit strengths have 5% chance to deal double damage, so this is effectively just 5% double damage because we are crit capped. And then this one, it was just a bit of multi if I take a savage hit, which is, I can't remember what it is, I think it's 40% of your life. And then we're going into one small cluster, which is just mana reservation efficiency to make everything fit. As you can see, it's quite tight. I have 14 mana remaining, so that's very important. We'll go around, we'll grab this minimum power charge because we need power charges for crit, and we're obviously stacking power charges. We need the max power charge, and then we're going to use this Militant Faith Jewel. The one stat that's important here is increased effect of non-curse auras. The totem damage is nice, but not essential at all. When you use Militant Faith, this changes this node into, I think this is Hexmaster before, yep. So this changes it to Inner Conviction, so the more power charges you have, the more spell damage you have. So it's important to get as many as you can. But the downside is you cannot gain frenzy charges anymore, which is why we use minimum frenzy on the ring and the amulet. Down here is where we get the rest of the mana reservation efficiency and the only other block that I get on the tree. This wheel is really good. 60 multi for totem skills, which is insane, and a lot of crit, and it's only 1 travel node. We'll go down, we'll grab this crit node, and we'll grab these 2 life and mana nodes. This helps us squeeze in all of the flat cost auras that are not percentage based. We'll go across here. I don't like this travelling. I've got 3 points here that I feel were wasted. But unfortunately I don't really see what else I can do apart from maybe getting another small and putting it here. Apart from that, grab this 10% ES, 10% life cluster and 10 strength, which is actually very important as I have 160 strength and my totem costs 159 strength. So you will struggle for strength if you're using my pathing. You can come out the bottom here, but that means that you miss out on this damage here. So it's up to you. It depends on your gear and how you feel about getting more strength as part of the build. I was using a strength belt before I got this abyssal one. I was using this pretty much the whole time. So that's what that one looks like. As you can see, it's very similar to my one now. Just a little bit more regen, but it gives me 70 strength. So that filled gaps that I needed. The only other thing to show you is the Watcher's Eye. This is crit multi with precision, so you just need a level 1. However, I do use more because I need the crit. And then 12% chance to deal double damage whilst using Pride. So with all the double damage, we've got 12 from Pride, 5 here, 5 here is 22, 5 on the weapon 27, and 5 on the shield is 32% chance to deal double damage. Now with the amount of cast speed we have, that is a lot, and you will see it. You will see it on bosses and you will see it on mobs where they just get chunked. And when the chunks start happening, that is the double damage taking effect. I think I've gone through most things. I just need to show you the gems in the glove socket. So you need Dread Banner. This helps with the Impale effect. Don't worry that it says you and nearby allies have 20% chance to impale, because we don't actually need that. We have a 100% chance because we crit. Our crit strengths inflict impale. The only thing we have this for is the impale effect, which gives us quite a lot for basically no mana cost. It costs 5% of my mana, so that's awesome. And then we've got precision. I think this is enough to get me crit capped. I think actually a level 1 gets me crit capped now from messing about with the path of building. Flame dash and second wind. We are really zooming with this flame dash. This helps us get around boss arenas and dodge mechanics and all that kind of fun stuff. We'll look at the POB. So 10.5 million per totem this is. So you're looking at 63 million damage with all the totems up. Ignore the 99% here, it's me fiddling with the so there we go. If I put it to, I think it was level 6 that I had, it's 100%. The rest is normal, and that's here for you. There are other things you can take on the tree if you don't like this tree. You can take these 2 nodes here, which are very good. Just allocating these 2 nodes gives me 500,000 damage. I can't seem to fit it. I'd have to drop something that I consider super important. But yeah, this is a level 100 tree. If you are not level 100, what you're going to do is come out of the bottom here, go up to discipline and training and stop. Do not take any of these nodes, and do not take spiritual aid. So that will save you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That will save you 12 points, so you'll be level 88. And then you can have this build up and going, and destroying the content of the game without, and then as soon as you add this, you'll notice that your damage jumps up significantly. Level 100 is hard to get, but not impossible. You can also do 5 ways or pay for a 5-way service to get you there. That will, and every point matters. Every point is super important. There's no points wasted on this build. There are a lot of points that I would like to get that I cannot justify. I'd like to get the 25% crit multi here. I'd like to get these 2 nodes here. I'd like to get this cast speed note wheel here. There's a lot of things I'd like to get. I would have got the spell suppress if I could afford it, but I simply cannot. And the increased damage per endurance or frenzy charge here, I just cannot afford it. And I don't really see what to do. But anyway, I think that's it. If you do have any questions or comments, just let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one.